Hello, YouTube, and welcome back to another day of S&P 500 and stock market review. My name is Justin, and today we're going to be talking about how the Fed is going to be talking this week. Their plan might be foiled a little bit in terms of raising by 50 basis points in March because of the current dilemma we're facing with Russia and Ukraine. So today on the video, we're going to make it a little bit shorter, and we're going to try to explain what would happen if and when the Ukraine-Russia tensions flare up, how low we could go. By the way, Goldman Sachs is saying about 6% lower, so that can take us down to about 400. But in the meantime, we heard from Bostic yesterday, didn't really move the needle. Fed Chair Dowley, she's from San Francisco, she was talking about how we need to be patient. So if we hear any change from her, that'll be very notable. On Thursday, we've got Barkin, Bostic, Mester, Dowley, and Waller, initial jobless claims. And from our weekend video, we were looking for a potential Putin meeting on Thursday. I think that's now scrapped. However, this is all coming together because on Friday, we hear that Fed monetary policy report. And that is in advance of Jerome Powell giving testimony on the 2nd, the blackout period on the 8th, and then the meeting on the 16th. So again, the reason why they're all coming out and talking like this in such succession is because they want to make sure they get the narrative out there in terms of what they want the market to think and what it should do. We're going to circle back and look at one more headline in a second here. However, we're going to jump to the chart straight away here. And here we're looking at ES. So as of right now, we are still pointing down. I would note that some of the largest down days are usually followed by some of the biggest up days. When we have a look here, right? When the selling actually stopped with capitulation, then we went up. If we look at the volume here, this could potentially be capitulation volume. Why? Well, we got a lower wick, and now we're going back up. So after we generally make dramatic cuts, we bounce up. Dramatic cuts, bounce up. Dramatic cuts, dead cat bounce. Dramatic cuts, dead cat bounce. So the question is, where are we going to bounce, and how high can we make it? If we can just go up or flat for the next couple of days, we will break the short-term downtrend, and we have potential to snap back up to roughly 44.26, which is a previous top. So that's pretty much what I'm looking for today. I would also note that 2 consecutive daily closes below 432 on SPY. Sorry, let's step back. S&P closed below 432 or correction territory for the first time this year. So we have pierced below 432, but we did not technically close below 432. So when people talk about the market being in correction territory, what they're talking about is where the S&P is on a closing basis. And yesterday, for the first time in, I think since March of 2020, 2021, I think, we closed in correction territory because we technically closed below 432. So as we mentioned before, 2 days below the 50 is usually a warning. 2 days below the 200, also a warning. So now we have the first day closing below 432, or the first time in correction territory. As of right now, we are set to open at 432.9 or 433, which means that we're trying to avoid a second day of closing in correction territory. If we can manage that, that's good. Is it enough? Well, again, a dead cat bounce turns into a reversal when we get more upside. Looking here at NQ, we can see that we got multiple downtrends, right? All I'm trying to do is figure out what's the trend. And it looks similar to the S&P, where if we can just manage to go sideways for a period, that is bullish. We can look at the volume from yesterday too. It potentially could be capitulation. So we're bouncing off this lower downtrend here, and all we have to do is just hold. You can see here there's a green line, and the green line comes from this area here. This area going back to April of 2021, right here. And this base is very important. Why? Well, previous tops usually become support as we advance higher. If it's not, that's a big warning, because our next top below that is down here at about 12,430. And again, that is likely how the S&P would go down to test that 400, or Goldman Sachs' 6% move lower. Finally, let's move forward here. Again, we talked about the levels. So 2 consecutive days below 432, big warning. Now let's briefly read what this is. More Fed talk. Bank group warns Fed standing repo facility may have stigma risks. The Federal Reserve standing repo facility was implemented as a fast way to provide liquidity to financial markets. But a report from the financial industry group, the Bank Policy Institute, Tuesday warns market participants may be reluctant to tap even if they need it. So everyone's been talking about the repo facility and reverse repos. They're basically saying we don't want the free money. And again, just to make sure people understand why this is important. Again, last week, it was Fed week, right? It was like earnings for the Fed. They were all talking. And then this week, what do we get? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more people talking. And then we got Jerome Powell on Friday with the Fed monetary policy report. And then we've got all about the Fed into March. So again, going back here and finishing off the story, recapping the proceeds of a conference held by the group on February 17th, the BPI said attendees doubted, again, the standing repo facility would be free of stigma. If the standing repo facility does not work as intended, the Fed may meet resistance, shrinking its portfolio of securities as scarcity in the market for reserves materializes sooner than expected, as what happened in 2018, requiring the Fed to stop redemptions and instead raise the federal funds rate more aggressively. What does this mean? We're at risk of a huge rate increase. If they cannot provide tightening, meaning monetary policy tightening through balance sheet runoff, maybe they're going to have to do it through what? A supersized rate hike, which is what we've been hearing about from people like James Bullard. I'm just looking for another headline here, but I can't quite find it. The IMF is also calling for the BOE to reduce their balance sheet by 650 billion pounds after 13 years of QE. So what does that mean? There's going to be multiple people who are looking to dump government bonds onto the market. And who's going to be buying this shit? Why? No one wants it. Literally read right here, right? Would be free of stigma. They don't want this. They don't want to buy anything. So people don't want to buy anything. That's a big concern. Finally, wrapping up here, hedge funds / tech and pivot to other strategies. And again, we can look at people losing their retirement. Look no further than Palantir. Kathy Woods has dumped 99.3% of her holdings. So there we are at a high level for what to be prepared for today. Hello, Mason.
You good for me, Jay? How's it going?
I'm good.
Awesome. Let me add this to the stream.
Oh, sorry.
All good.
We're competing here. Oh, there we go. Add.
Is it working? There we go.
No,
there we go. All right. I got Roblox up right now. Let's switch to NQ. Yeah. So really nice bounce so far this morning. Up above 14K. I'll go to the 3-hour chart because it's actually a bit cleaner here. Overnight, we tested the 13,700 lows. It was a successful test. We bounced back above. We're trading higher currently. Above 14K, we are in, I don't want to say bullish territory because we're above the lows that we have made. 14,130 is still the area in the sand for me. I think if we can cross above that and start closing hourly above that today and even back test it, the bulls are back in control, at least in the short term. The larger term trend is still down, so I would be careful. One space I'm watching in the Nasdaq closely is the cybersecurity space. With all these Russia tensions, cybersecurity is probably going to be front and center. Wedbush analysts, they had a positive note out on the space this morning, so I'm keeping my eye on the CrowdStrikes, the ZSs, the Nets. They might have some tailwinds to push them higher, so definitely watching that closely. One thing I want to leave with you guys today is a tweet I read from Mark Minervini yesterday. He's a market wizard, experienced trader. You guys know him. And it's important. He says if you can't stick to your strategy and you let other strategies have their turn while your approach is in limbo, you don't have a strategy. You have an addiction. So all this time that the bears have been in control of the tape, if you're a long trader and your strategy is long and you've been flipping back and forth, short, long, getting chopped up, just be aware that you may be at risk. You may be actually addicted to the stock market and you don't even know it. It is a possibility, and you just need to zoom out and take a step back, because with all these headlines and all these emotions running so high, I think it's important to just dial it back and just to protect your capital. Yeah, that's all I got for today.
Yeah, so I think what we can do is just briefly touch on that, and then we'll sign off here. So, yeah, I would agree. I think people are addicted to the stock market, and
Totally,
I
man.
think that
Totally.
most people do not have a strategy for when they're wrong. Meaning,
No.
if this happens, then I'm wrong. And for me, it's very obvious what I need to see to know that I'm wrong. Again, I can look right here. I can look at SPY on the 1 week. For me, again, there's 3 things the stock market can do. It can go up, it can go down, or it can go flat. And right now, the reason why we have a green line and a red line is because what? We're going sideways. If that's not clear, we're going sideways here in a bearish pattern below the 50 MA. But we don't have the confirmation yet. And yeah, it's a really good point. What do you think about the average person right now watching? How can they actually implement that to make sure they're not addicted, or that they have at least their blinders taken off?
in my opinion, to like make sure you're not addicted is try to do your best to stay disciplined and play the higher time frames. They take longer to play out. You will have to be more patient with your entries. You have to be more tactical. It will help you dial back, in my opinion. If you're zoomed in on the 5 and 15 minute and you've been holding Aapl since 150 and you're watching every little tick, you're probably addicted and you don't even know it. I just and I don't want to take credit for what Mark said, because that's all him. It just really resonated with me because I noticed those same types of things sometimes in our group where people literally like they can't get away. If they're not trading, that they feel like they don't exist, and that's not the case. Your strategy works a once in a while, and you need to let other people have that success. It's no different than when I see people posting huge short gains when I'm a bull in a bearish trend. I gotta let them have their day. My day will come. We kind of talked about it before. It's tough. It is tough though to see people win and your stocks be down. It is very tough. So yeah.
So I think what you're talking about is removing a lot of the noise, which is what we've been trying to work on lately. Is cut out the noise, reduce the chance for being right caught off guard. So with that said, we thank you all for watching. And if you have a comment in terms of if you are addicted or coping mechanisms, drop us a comment and let us know what you think. With that said, we wish all the best of luck, and Mason and I will see you tomorrow. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.